From the bowels of gentrified Brooklyn, in the heart of Medina, you're listening to the Bean Pie Chronicles podcast, the voice of the African American Muslim community, who we affectionately refer to as the Bean Pie community. Here on the Bean Pie Chronicles, we're committed to bringing you straight talk, critical analysis, and the diversity in thought on American culture and politics, and a glimpse into the everyday lives of the extraordinary men and women that make up the Bean Pie community. So kick off your leather socks and unpin your head wrap. The Bean Pie Chronicles is now on the air.
All right. Here we go. Bean Pie Chronicles.
All right.
One of our, I guess right now, probably one of our better, most interesting episodes. This is episode 6. Episode 6, Bean Pie Chronicles. We're going to introduce, our community's very own Dr. Z. To all those who are, or to all those who don't know, full disclosure, Zarinah, this is my sister Zarinah. She's a doctor. She's going to help us out understand this coronavirus stuff. We had to go and get our own experts. This is what we're about, Bean Pie Chronicles. We're going into the community. We're going to find some voices that we can trust about and have us a discussion about these issues that are important to us. So, Z, introduce yourself to the people. Just give a shout out and, introduction. How you doing?
Hello, my beautiful people. My name is Zarinah, and I am, I'm a doctor, but I mainly now study holistic medicine by education. I have gone to more westernized training, but on my own, I have shifted over into the holistic realm, and it's a self-study, continual study. And I'm here to share whatever I can with you all.
Right.
And
Well, right now, as we all know, we're I guess a month or so deep into this coronavirus pandemic. The whole country is on tilt right now. We're on lockdown out here in North Carolina. We're on lockdown in New York. I know you're out in Atlanta. What's the corona scene out there?
You said what?
What's the corona situation out there? You guys on lockdown or?
We are not as severe as New York has been. Seems like New York is the new hot spot.
Right.
But Atlanta, we have cases going on. In this actual city of Atlanta, the mayor has closed most non-essential businesses. Of course, you have restaurants and grocery stores that are still open. I mean, restaurants is takeout only.
Right.
The city parks and things like that are closed for the most part. Playgrounds,
schools and everything
prohibited.
Right.
So we don't have a curfew per se, but it is advised that everyone stays home as much as possible and come out only for essential purposes.
Okay.
So I think pretty much throughout the nation, it's that same kind of vibe.
Right.
And everybody's trying to practice their social distancing.
New idea.
Yeah, that's the new hot word.
That's the new hot word. So let's back up a bit. So this whole coronavirus, this is, there initially I know there was memes going around showing the coronavirus is on a Lysol can. So people are like, hey, this thing has been around for a long time. We know the Lysol can says it can kill corona. That was a part of the early conspiracy theory response to it. So, but now that we've kind of become more familiar with this idea, so can you explain to us, apparently coronavirus is a thing that's been around for a while. What's new about this situation?
Well, I just think the COVID-19 that they're calling it, is just a type of a coronavirus.
Right.
I think it's in a family of other coronaviruses that may have already been out. The special thing about this one is that it's new. People are calling it novel. And the thing about any novel virus is the main thing is the lack of immunity within the population. If a population does not have any previous exposure to a virus, it will kind of just run rampant. And viruses are natural pathogens. You can think of them as kind of like burglars or robbers of cells, of human cells.
Okay.
They just kind of come in and take over the whole factory of a cell. So yeah, this is a new strain, a new type of a coronavirus.
Right.
And what the background of it is, I'm unclear in terms of, I feel like there's a lot of theories around, what's going on. A lot of political theories, which because I don't know, because it's a big question, I won't necessarily go into, but I just know that it's here.
Right.
So, at first I wanted to kind of deny it being actually what it was, but now I'm starting to see people, I'm getting colleagues that are in the front lines in the hospitals and things like that, and they're seeing patients being rolled in and being tested positive. I'm starting to even get reports from other people that I know, or people that I know, so it's becoming more of a real thing for myself.
Right.
And yeah, so it goes back to the immunity. I think eventually, if enough people contract it and recover from it, we will eventually start to build what you call a herd immunity, which is, what covers us, when it comes to these kind of viruses. Most people are immune to it. The virus is just kind of going to die out and not be as of a threat. Of course, anybody who is immunocompromised in any kind of way, whether they're taking immunosuppressant medications or just naturally or congenital, born with lack of certain white blood cells or types of white blood cells, they will, you'll always, if you have HIV, those are the kind of populations that always have, susceptibility to viruses. Even the flu, pneumonia, those things could be deadly to that population. Us gaining herd immunity will just kind of kill the noise of the virus. I think the problem with this is that it's so contagious. It's a airborne virus, and just by being around someone close enough, or touching something that they have breathed on, or any droplets from their mouth, it can be passed on, and it's highly contagious. And I read something recently that said it was about 3 times as likely to catch it over the flu. So it seemed to be more contagious than the flu. And the lack of, when it does get, seems like most people who get it don't have a fatal reaction to it.
Right.
Some people are getting it and they don't have any reaction. Some people get, you feel bad, you get the flu, leading to pneumonia type of symptoms, may feel uncomfortable for a couple of weeks or so, but it's really detrimental to the elderly and those who are immunocompromised in any kind of way, which is a lot of people. Right. In the community, if you think about it, it's a lot of people that fit in those categories.
Right.
And the problem seems to be that the hospitals are not well equipped for so many people at the same time to need ventilation and ICU treatment. So that's what makes it so dangerous. I think if we were more equipped as a country to, I guess, even as within the world, because it's happened, in other countries. If the equipment was there, I don't think it would be that much of a threat. If it wasn't as easily spread, it wouldn't be that much of a threat. And if we had immunity, so I think it's just a combination of all of those things that makes it dangerous.
Right. So that's a lot. You said a lot. I mean, I think that, so because it's easily transmitted, unlike, an HIV or something like where you need the blood, this is something that goes through the air. It's also because it's not like totally fatal, sort of like an Ebola thing where a person is going to sort of die, and everybody can see this person dying with blood coming out their ears and everything. A person can walk around and be relatively healthy looking and infect a room full of people, and no one will know. There's no natural antibodies. So the flu, somebody might have had the flu, so that flu bug won't, you have antibodies to protect you from it. So there's no one that has antibodies, because this is, like you said, novel, a novel form, a new form of the corona. So it seems like it's like a perfect situation, a perfect situation for a virus to have these type of symptoms, to be very, as far as infections and infectious. It seems like this situation is perfect, like a perfect scenario.
Definitely.
What about
even the incubation stage, the time between actually having it, being exposed to it, and showing symptoms? Like I said, some people will never. They just asymptomatic the whole time.
Right.
And during the time, some people, it don't hit you till 2 weeks. So you might be walking around like, oh, I'm fine, I don't have it. You're not having any symptoms, you're not coughing, your breathing is fine. But you are still spreading it if you're around other people.
You're a carrier.
Right.
So what do you think about initially we were hearing that black people might not be susceptible to it. We see that globally, typically, when we think of viruses and we think of Africa, or we think of countries that have third world conditions. But this seems to be a first world condition situation, like New York and LA, and places like Africa seems to be like, missing the scourge, and so that kind of even led black people to somewhat be cavalier, say, hey, black people can't get the coronavirus. Like, what do you think about those type of refrains, or what do you think?
I don't know if it's necessarily I think I know some black people who got it.
Right.
So
that's true.
I know that's not totally the case.
Right.
I mean, I have heard that it does have a temperature effect to it. So, Africa is mostly, hot climates.
Right.
So that may be having something to do with it. I don't
You were saying that um, people who have compromised immune systems seem to be more susceptible to corona, but I mean, frankly speaking, they're susceptible to other germs as well. So,
Right.
so I think under the circumstances where there's not a lot of information out there, and what the information that we do have doesn't really help us much. What do you think as far as our best defense? You know, the best offense sometimes is a good defense. So our immune system is the is what we know, and this is what keeps us healthy in under normal circumstances. So, what do you think about, you know, the immune system being the first line of defense in regard to the corona?
um it's definitely one of the main things you want to keep intact, and I think it's because it's so much that we don't know about this virus. That's one thing we do know, that having a strong immune system, it wouldn't necessarily keep you from being exposed to it, but if exposed, I think it will make the difference in how the disease would affect you. So, and it's also one of the things, if you are not someone who is in those situations where you have no choice but to be immunocompromised, you have a little bit of control on just boosting your immune system. I think a lot of the things that as Americans that we intake, and we take in a lot of toxins in our environment, whether it be through the mouth or just through the skin, and just in the air, um, that may reduce the strength of our immune system. So just taking the time to detox, detox yourself, I think that helps to strengthen it. Your body is a well-oiled machine for the most part. It knows what it's doing. So if it gets support by you, it's just kind of like, move out the way. I got this. Your body will do what it's supposed to do. And immune cells are just kind of like police for your body. And yeah, the stronger they are, the better off you'll be. So, ingesting, like I said, starting off by detox. Because if you just a, typical American person who, we like our fried foods, our fast foods, our, you know,
Sodas and ice cream and
that
processed
kind of
foods.
stuff. Um, if you are not like regularly detoxing,
What do you mean by
some
detox? What do you say when you say detox? What does that mean?
just like cleaning out your body, cleaning out your system, giving it some days off of taking in those things that decrease your immune system. Cleaning out your colon. Your colon carries so much waste. If you're not like someone who's getting regular colon cleansing, you can have waste that's, if you think of like a tunnel, it's your colon. You can have waste on, just think of the walls of a tunnel just caked up of mud, just kind of, and that mud could just dry up and it'll just be there. You can have stuff in there from 20 years ago, the
Wow.
waste products of the foods you're ingesting, a lot of fatty foods, and, it doesn't, if it's not fibrous, it'll sit there and it's kind of, and just chill out, hang out, get hardened, block, the natural absorption that's supposed to be there. So the walls are covered and they're not getting the proper exchange in and out as they should be. So if you are someone who, like, say, you over 30, if you never got a colon cleanse, you got some stuff in there. If you can, there's plenty of colon cleansings on the market. You can actually go and get a colon cleanse where they,
is that
something.
Is that a colonic? Is that what a colonic is?
That's a colonic, right?
Okay.
So you're releasing a bunch of stuff that just needs to come out. You're eating meats. Meats carry, parasites. People may, have parasites in your digestive tract that you don't even know is in there. It's a lot of stuff just that goes on. And if you're not cleansing, at least 4 times a year, maybe when the seasons change, that's a good kind of indicator. You can go on fast. There's a bunch of juice detoxing. There's pills that you can take. That's kind of raw food fast. It's different. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different programs that's out there, but they all kind of have the same idea of just releasing your cells of all the built up sludge that can reduce the efficacy of your immune system. And then there's natural foods that naturally boost your immune system. So taking in those citruses, your limes, your lemons, your oranges, grapefruit, whether you're eating them, juicing them, spritz it in your water, your dark leafy vegetables, your broccoli. There's a slew of things you can eat. The turmeric and echinacea and all of those things boost your immune system. Ginger, garlic. So cooking with those things, trying to eat less processed foods, like most of the stuff, if you go on a regular supermarket, most of the stuff in there is kind of
right,
trash, really.
Right.
If you're not on the fresh produce side, most of your stuff in your refrigerator should be from that side of the supermarket. And, you can mix and mingle a little here and there, but in times like this, you want to just make sure you taking in those things. If you like tea, I love teas, because teas is like you drinking, your medicine. So there's a bunch of immune boosting teas that you can take, but just being more conscientious about what you are taking in can definitely boost your immune system. And even if you do get the virus, those things will help it, to dissipate more quickly.
Right. Because I hear that there's some people, because of the scarcity of resources, beds and ventilators, if you are a certain demographic, I guess they're sending people home rather than, even if you do get diagnosed with corona, they're going to just send you home anyway.
Right.
So you're going to be isolated in your house for a certain amount of time, and your basically your immune system is going to be fighting it out with the corona. Right.
Just like the flu. If you get the flu, there's no antivirals. That's the one thing about viruses. That's why, they have some antivirals for HIV, some hepatitis, but you don't see a lot of antivirals. There's a lot of antibiotics because it's easier to come up with those. But antivirals are rare, and of course they don't have one for this. So it's kind of like a waiting game. You just gotta wait till it
goes through,
gets out of your system, and you just have to. Any medication is just for the symptoms, just to,
Tylenol or something like that.
Alleviate you of the symptoms while it's clearing up.
Right.
But you're not taking anything that's going to attack the virus.
Right.
And kill the virus.
Right.
So, yeah. So if you go to a hospital, it's kind of like, all right, they can test you, and I think they just testing to see to count and
Get the
see
numbers right.
how many people have it. But what they gonna do if you have it and you just have it? Like, they're gonna tell you to go home. The same like the flu. They're gonna tell you to go home, get some rest, drink plenty fluids. Of course, we know water is the magical thing. You always got to take that.
Right.
But unless you need care, that's the ones that we're talking about, the ones that need the ventilators and things, that their lungs is so compromised that they need help to breathe. Right. While the coronavirus is going through their body, those are the only ones that really need to stay at the hospital. Right. Otherwise, you're just there and possibly infecting other people. Right.
Because they said the hospitals are some of the most, dirtiest places to be. You don't want to be in the hospital if you don't have to be in the hospital.
Definitely, yeah. That's always the case.
Right. All right, so we know that we're watching social media, we're watching the news. The news basically is turned into 24-hour coverage of corona. So people are kind of in a mass hysteria, about this corona thing, and the fact of the matter of, there necessarily being a low death rate associated with it. And so people are not necessarily afraid of, or justifiably necessarily afraid of dying of corona, but just the tension and hysteria that the media is providing for with the coverage of the corona is sort of creating tension and anxiety with the people. Like, is there with the fear sort of fact? Is there a fear factor in regards to the immune system and how people handle this type of news? Like, what would you say? How would you suggest people handle the stress or the anxiety that's associated with this corona thing?
Well, I definitely think the news is doing an excellent job of hyping up the coronavirus. Like, you look at the news, the news people, and they got these sad faces and they don't know what to do, and everybody's in panic. And I just think it's more hype than what it should be. Right. And it's almost like it's just a part of the entertainment. Right. But it does get to people, and there is a sense of fear that's going on. I think people are always tapping in to see what's new, what's the update, social media adds to it. We as people, we are already over, we just getting too much information, with the internet and everything. Even pre-coronavirus, you just overload of information, overload of what this person is saying, what that person is saying, because with the internet you could just click and find more things. So it's just an overload of information. The mind is it's a lot, so with the coronavirus, I think it's just adding to that hysteria, and is causing fear and stress that's unnecessary. And stress, fear is stress on the body, and stress is one of the main enemies to the body. Chronic stress, stress is good when you are trying to get out of a tight situation. We naturally, the body is always working when we're sleeping. When we're just sitting down, the metabolism is going, the immune system is working. But when you are in a stressful situation, your body kind of shifts into a gear of survival, and it decreases, it increases stress hormones that naturally suppress the immune system. That's why when you have chronic stress, you have these illnesses. You have chronic stress, meaning you just have lived a stressful life. You know, you're susceptible to, your diabetes, your high blood pressure, cancers, all these different kind of cancers. That's one of the theories that I have, is that's why a lot of African Americans, have those two chronic illnesses, because we have generational stress and things that are carried on. You're stressed out about stuff that didn't kind of even start with you.
Right.
Like it's a long history of stress, so that it manifests in your body. It manifests in all kind of ways. So mindfulness, kind of just getting into that whole vibe, just knowing that your mind is connected to your body and it does affect it. It's not separate, as I think Western medicine is coming more into that, the mind body connection, but it's definitely affects your long-term health. So we're talking about immunity with this virus, being fearful and overly stressed. It kind of is counterproductive in this situation, because you want to have your immune system as strong as it can. So to be stressed, which is hard not to be, and
Right.
that's why you have to be intentional about trying to decrease it. Cut the TV off. Whatever's going on with the coronavirus, it's not going to change because you're watching it.
Right.
So like, you got to protect you and your family first. So if you're getting stressed out by watching the constant updates of the news, and cut it off. I think we as a people just need to unplug a lot of times anyway.
Right.
Close your computer, close your, get off your cell phone, connect more with nature. Dad always talk about the earth thing.
Right.
Get more close with nature. We are natural beings. We are made of earth, clay. So connecting with those things is supportive of your overall mind, body, spirit, and would help to keep your immune system more intact.
I mean,
So decreasing that.
you mentioned the earth thing. I mean, do you know? I was thinking about the whole thing about 5G, because there's some people that are saying that the 5G radio frequency that our phones are kind of going to. They're saying the place in China was completely 5G wired, and I've seen different people on social media talking about the 5G. But then you also mentioned grounding. So those are kind of like opposite ends of the spectrum, And so what is grounding, and what exactly is happening with grounding when you do ground?
Well, the idea behind grounding is that the earth, that we are electrical, we have electrical impulses. Our brain is a big computer. It has even neurons, they fire electrical signals every second. Our nervous system that runs throughout our body, it's there's energy, there's electricity, and these different wavelengths, cell phones, microwaves. We use microwaves, and those kind of clash with the the natural electrical flow that we have. So just having it constantly around. Wi-Fi is always on. I don't think people will ever cut off their Wi-Fi when they go to sleep. The towers, these are things we don't see, but these electrical wavelengths do affect us. And the grounding basically is just kind of connecting with the earth, because the earth does also has its electrical wavelengths, and those are more natural to us and more beneficial to us. So us not being just being modernized, we don't necessarily connect with the earth. Like, how many times do you actually touch the earth? You know, if you're not walking barefoot, which most people don't, on earth, not concrete, but dirt, grass. Once you actually physically connect with the earth, you're reconnecting with those wavelengths that your body needs. That's positive for you. So, being that we're always getting these negative wavelengths nowadays because of all the technology, and we're disconnected from the earth's wavelength, is wreaking havoc on our cells, and that's the theory behind grounding, is getting back to reconnecting with earth, and off balance, coming back into a balance where we are offshooting all of the negative or the detrimental electricity. And so that's what grounding is. So the more connected you are with the earth, the more you'll be back in balance. Things like the increase of the amount of autoimmune diseases that people are getting. Everybody, autoimmune disease, so you see it all the time on these different pharmaceutical companies. Eczema, lupus, MS. A lot of these things are autoimmune. Basically, we've been talking about the immune system, but the immune system can go the opposite way, which means it's attacking you. The immune system is supposed to attack any outside pathogens, like a coronavirus, any outside persons, but it's not supposed to attack its own cells. And that's what that's what these
autoimmune
diseases are doing. They're causing your own immune system to attack you. So having those those being increased in the population, that's one of the theories that these wavelengths are doing. Increases in cancers, and the foods, the wavelengths, all of that is just getting bodied from left to right.
If you think about it, the food, when they genetically modifying the food, so you eating this genetically modified food, now your body don't recognize, you are what you eat. So now you're introducing, unnatural organisms to the body, and now your body's starting to attack yourself, Right. So it's interesting. As Muslims, I don't know if we want to say that, you mentioned balance, and I know Islam is also called the middle way, but I understand that what we're seeing here is sort of a call back to nature. So we have the technology, everybody likes the technology. We have the advancement on, we're talking now, we're using technology here. Right. And so there's the pros of the technology. Then you modify the foods, and, that makes make food last longer. Maybe it's resistance to different temperatures and stuff like that. But then there's a con. So there's no balance, because if you go full throttle into what you want to call modernity, your body's system is natural, like the sun, moon, and stars. So your body is not jiving with this stuff. It's
not down with it. Yeah.
Right. And so what you're saying is, maybe this, and unfortunately, that's not the message that you're getting through the mass hysteria. As a matter of fact, what people are chomping at the bits is waiting for these guys to come up with a vaccine, which is going back to the same guy who created the problem in the first place. Now you want them to solve the problem, and they're going to come and hit you with some vaccine that it usually takes, I don't know, I've read between 15 and 20 years to get a new vaccine ready for the market. And so now these guys, you want them to come up with a vaccine in less than a year. So from what I understand, when Trump declared a national emergency, part of that edict allows the vaccination companies to come up with a like they don't have to go through the animal testing. They don't have to go through all of that testing that the EPA would normally, or the CDC, whoever's in charge of the the medicine, improving the medicines. That time is reduced now, so they could come back around in 1 year and start hitting you with vaccines that's barely been tested. Right. So we going back to the guy who kind of started the problem and asking him to solve the problem. And I think what I'm hearing from you is like, let's go somewhere else. Let's go back to nature. Let's go back to the beginning. Turn off the TV, unplug. It doesn't make sense to sit in your house. They want you to be in the house for 2 weeks and turn off and get away from people, social distancing. But then if you're still sitting in the house watching the news, watching the corona hysteria, you might as well turn that off. Pick up a book, do something constructive with yourself. But more importantly, get away from these stresses. Detox yourself. If you're sitting in the house with a bunch of snacks, a bunch of processed food, a bunch of junk, you went and bought all the toilet paper, ain't buy no bananas or nothing like that. If you're not buying organic food, you're not drinking the water and the oranges. You ain't got a big bag of chips or something, and Coca-Cola and some pork rinds. You ain't doing nothing. You might as well go outside.
Right. You might as well go outside. You better off going outside.
Right.
I thought it was interesting, this school in Silicon Valley. This is like a primary school. I wish I knew more details about it, but I was just watching some Dateline or something. And they had Silicon Valley, they on top of technology. Like that's
where it come from.
Right. And all these top tech people, they're sending their kids to this school. When you go to this school, they don't have no smart boards. They have old school black, green board. They used to write on with chalk, and they wooden tables, and they don't like on purpose.
Right.
They have their kids in the school.
Right.
They don't do no online learning. They do everything old school, like how we used to do. So I thought that was interesting. Like, that these top technology people would have their kids in that kind of school.
Well, it's well known that a lot of the tech giants, the Steve Jobs and what's the other guy, Bill Gates, like they don't. You would think my father's the Apple guy, or he's the main CEO. Like they don't get their kids stuff. Like their kids don't have the new. You would think that their kids had the prototypes. Like I got the newest one. They kids got flip phones. They barely have phones. They don't give their kids these things, and it might be something they know about it. Yeah, you would think, right?
That's suspect.
Right. But meanwhile, our kids, as soon as a kid, you see kids just could barely walk and talk. Parents just put them an iPod or a smartphone, and that's the babysitter.
Right.
So that's something to think about.
Definitely. And I don't know, unless you move to a society that's more, because even now, I mean, everybody's technologically involved. You can connect. I can call somebody right now in Abuja or anywhere in the world.
Right.
So like, I don't know if there's any way around that. Like how do you come back to, unless you forcefully. You
have to be intentional about that kind of stuff.
People are not gonna accept that. So I don't. It's a hard battle to fight.
Right. So, okay, let me see. I had some questions here. I think we pretty much hit everything. Okay. So, I mean, I know you did a detox recently. We can add a link to that. We could add a link to the detox that you did. I mean, tell me about it. What's the detox that you just did recently?
Well, I just did a full. I don't know the name of the. I should, but I just did a raw food, just a quick 7-day.
What's raw food? What is raw food? What's raw food?
I just, for the time that I like, that's the only thing I ate. I juiced. I did fruits and vegetables juicing, and so.
What does raw mean? That it's not cooked?
Yeah. So salads. It's.
And I'm assuming that's no meat.
No.
So not raw meat.
Right. I mean, if you get, some people do eat raw meat, not
Lord
meat.
have mercy.
But nah, meat is not a part of the. Meat is one of the things you want to eliminate.
What about fish? Like tuna fish? Is tuna fish part of the raw diet, or are you getting rid of all the animal flesh, kind of?
Yeah. No. Yeah. All the animal, just fruits and vegetables, and then just taking the teas and the. I actually took a in pill form. It's like purging, like purges, So basically, you're just releasing, drinking a whole lot of water, and you're not taking in any processed foods, no extra sugars. Like I would throw maybe some broccoli. Sometimes I just need something hot every now and then, so I throw some broccoli on in water, not too much, but just saute it a little bit in water, no added oil, and just basically just taking in the earth.
So I mean, people, I could imagine people saying like, "Come on, bruh," you know what I'm saying? People used to their good, food and heavy on the sauces and the extra, condiments and stuff like that. I mean, is it always a sacrifice? Do people know how to hook it up, or is it just like, yo, this is what I need to do and this is what I need to do?
It's all you're definitely not going to be eating what you used to eating. I mean, that's just one detox. I mean, there's juice, and I can give different links. There's juicing thing, detoxes where all you're doing is juices. You're not even doing the solid foods like I was doing, salads and stuff like that. But there's one where you're just doing juicing your fruits and vegetables. So it's always going to be a test of your willpower. Some people do it for 7 days, some people do it for 30 days. I have a friend that just did a 30-day detox, and you see her from the beginning of the detox, you see her at the end, and just all of that waste I was talking about in the colon just eliminated. I mean, her stomach went from one thing to another. Wow. It was totally different, side, but just eliminating all of that stuff. So it's not going to feel good. It's definitely a sacrifice, and everybody is not going to do it. Right. Facts,
Right.
You start with a 3-day detox. I think, us Muslims, we are used to having some kind of that willpower of not being able to eat during Ramadan. We go a 30-day without eating for the whole day, and depending on what time of the year it is.
Eating and drinking.
Right. We went, down here, you mean break fast at 8:30, 9 o'clock. So, I mean, I think we have some of that, and then that don't feel good, but you just do it because you got to do it. Right. So I think it is a test of your willpower. And the difference with these detoxes is that you don't when the sun goes down, you still fasting. You're still staying away from those foods that you like. And if you are somebody who is just definitely a foodie, and just like a lot of junk food is gonna hurt you a little bit. You're gonna have headaches, you're gonna feel tired, you're gonna go through, you're gonna feel your body kind of trying to reject it. It's kind of like when a heroin person is going through detox, like it don't feel good. Right. They bugging out, sweating, body don't, but that's what they need to go to through detox.
You're going withdrawal off of the fried chicken.
You go through a withdrawal. And you go through a sugar withdrawal, Yeah. So
I mean, you just mentioned something about Ramadan and Ramadan. There are there's also the fast of Yusuf every other day. The Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu fasts at least
Mondays and Thursdays.
Mondays, and so within the tradition of Islam, you do have exercises and examples of practicing this type of self-discipline. So the Ramadan is definitely an annual practice for annual exercise and practicing self-discipline.
Right.
It's not just not eating and drinking, but it's also not talking as much. Even in social distancing, people kind of become more reclusive and slow down and read and kind of not get into as much stuff as you would typically get into. And so just like I had the conversation with Fahim about the corona and making wudu and cleaning and even the Prophet Sallallahu gave advice about plagues and traveling when there's a plague and staying put if you're in a place that a plague happens to be, so you're not being a carrier from one place to another. So I think that when you think about it, there are wisdoms embedded in some of these Islamic principles that people may not think about or may not value. But when it comes to situations like this, again, this technology may be doing us a disservice in all of this corona stuff. And so you kind of it gives you a moment to sit back and reflect on what's really going on here. People I think we always talk about how powerful this country is and how powerful the economy is, and you just see this little germ is microscopic. You can't even see it.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So you got tanks and you got missiles, and everybody like, let's spend $1 billion so we can have the biggest tank, we got the biggest missile. This little germ nobody could see, have us all scared in the closet, the daggone stock market about to crash. Damn. And everybody's like, you can't shoot this thing, you can't missile it, you can't karate chop it. You know what I'm saying? So all that tough guy talk goes out the window. And then people start screaming for the scientists, and I'm like, the scientists, even people mad at Trump. So somebody saying, "Yo, Trump should have did this." I said, I think you putting too much power in these people's hands.
What he could do.
That you think that this man can stop plagues. Like plagues have plagued human beings from beginning of time. Allah sent plagues to warn people or to punish people. You think the scientist or the president could stop it? I had to tell this Christian friend of mine. I said, you think the Pharaoh thought he could stop the plague when the children of Israel had to run for Passover? You think the Pharaoh could have stopped the plague because he was the most powerful dude in the room? No. Sometimes you kind of have to get taught that it's like, yo, you got to slow down. You're not in control of everything, and sometimes you got to slow down. Turn off the TV and go back to nature. Go touch the ground. Take your shoes off. Go walk on the grass. Eat some natural fruits. Get out of the Chick-fil-A line and all that stuff. And I don't know if that's what people are doing. People are, I think, within this culture, you start looking for the scientists. You start, watching TV more. You want to be plugged in all the time. What are they saying now? And so the culture is not even supplying the people with some of the more, easily acceptable, because you don't have to pay no money. It don't cost any money to go take your shoes off and go walk on the grass. And
I mean, I think that's the thing. This especially this country is capitalistic. If you don't got to pay for it, they're not really trying to tell you that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, that's not what they want you to do, because they want you to do stuff you got to pay for.
Right.
Like a vaccine.
Right.
Or
at least if you don't got to pay for it yourself, like the vaccine, for instance, but the taxpayers' money is going to go to pay for those vaccines. So they're going to make money. So if you feel like you don't have to come out your pocket directly, those pharmaceuticals and big pharma and
this money's
somebody,
being passed
it's
over
money.
in that.
They call that the stimulus package. The stimulus package is taxpayers' money going to some corporation, you know.
Right.
And so you know, telling you to go back to nature and unplug, that there ain't no money there.
There's no money there, so that's a no-no. You don't want to, and you know, even pointing people in that direction is a threat.
Right.
Like, we don't want people to think that.
Right.
You know, like.
Right.
But it's definitely humbling, and yeah, I think the Pharaoh analogy was perfect, because it's that vibe, you know. American has a certain level of, we are great, make America great again, we are, you know, this unstoppable country that feels like it is not susceptible to anything. But you know, this is not our world, this is a lost world. So like we say, any virus, any microscopic thing, any, you know, click of his finger, and you know, it's you're very vulnerable.
And I think that's why, I think that's part of the anxiety. Like, people are uncomfortable with that idea. Like, if I can say China, you know, that's part of why Trump went so hard to say China or put a face on it, because somebody could be like, oh, I hate those guys, you know, or we're going to kick those dudes, you know, ass. Right. But if it's like, we don't really know what's going on here, you know what I'm saying, that people are like, who do I blame? Who do I fight? Who, you know, if like they said, if all you have a hammer, you know, every problem is a nail, you know? So it's like, in this situation where there's no real answers, and the answer is like, we don't have control over this, you know, it's easier to put a face on it, or it's this guy, and now we can start, you know, hating that guy, or boycotting the Chinese people, or beating Chinese people up in the street, you know? Right. But it's a way to feel empowered, you know. Yeah. So this is I've been saying it the past couple of podcasts, you know, crazy but interesting times. I think that again, we can always lean on the guidance from the Quran and, you know, from the Islamic principles to sort of give us some insights into this situation. And I think it's those type of insights that, you know, we need to do more sharing of with our fellow man, so that they can say, okay, have an option. Because if all they have is the mass hysteria, and we in the corner, like, you know, quiet as a mouse, you know, don't say anything and don't offer the people another alternative, then, you know, we're doing the people a disservice.
I agree.
Yeah. So, okay, so, you know, we're going to wrap up today's show. We're going to bring Z back. This is Dr. Z, like Dr. Oz. We got our own doctor on deck right now. And we're going to have her involved when, you know, get some more updates. You know, we don't know how long this corona thing is going to last, but we already know that we need to be detoxing. We need to be grounding. We need to be juicing, growing raw foods. You down in Atlanta, you gotta be careful with that.
You just dumb.
Raw foods, okay? And so
and also, you know, testifying, you know, writing it down, how you feeling, dancing, you know. And introduce my company, Dance and Zari, which is you know, a dance therapy vibe. You just letting your body talk and just testifying, telling your story, telling how it feels. That's also some. I know the people
want to hear that now. That's that we gotta do. That's the new show. Okay, we're gonna be with next show. We talking about, what is it called? Dance and Zari.
Dance and Zari. Right.
All right. So we know the people ready for that. We're gonna hold that. We're gonna hold that for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Subscribe. Hit us up. You know what I'm saying? We gonna have Doc Z back in here telling you how to give, you know, your testimony. You know what I'm saying?
Testimony.
That's right. All right, y'all. We're going to sign off. Bean Pod Chronicles, you already know what it is. Z, thanks for stopping by with us.
All right.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
The Bean Pod Pie Chronicles is sponsored by Abu's Bean Pie Company, located on 1184 Fulton Street, Brooklyn, who reminds you, when you're craving that perfect bean pie, choose Abu's.